Hello once again, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about remote teams. Now, obviously since the pandemic, we've had quite the learning curve of how to work remotely. And it's brought up a lot of great freedom in the way that we can set our schedules and move about the country or even about the world and still be able to kind of feel like we're connected and working within our sectors. But there's also some challenges that come up with that. And there's been lots of interesting and new research in the organizational behavior psychology field, which is really a mouthful to say. But one of the things that comes up a lot when we do have teams that are working more remotely is about psychological safety and trust, which have some slight differences to them, but we won't go too deep into that right now. But the basics here is that something about when we're in person and we're able to take in all of a person, we're seeing their face, we're hearing their voice, we're being able to look at their body language and what they're communicating to us, it creates moments of connection. So, whether it's through small talk or you end up having some of those bigger conversations where you happen to be at the water cooler or whatever's going on, you see something on someone's desk and you ask a question about it, all of those things work to humanize the people that we are working with. Because that's really what helps us to build trust, is more that we understand people, or more that we feel like we connect. Rapport works a lot in that field of trust. So how do we do that when we're working remotely? And there's a lot of research out there about when to use synchronous versus asynchronous forms of communication. So when is the right time to be sending an email versus when is the right time to pick up a phone, or more so, get on a video call. So this is some of the stuff that's coming up right now. One, if you're a remote team, do your best to at least, as frequently as feasible, get everyone together to do something unwork related. Whether that is just lunch and learn or a lunch meet and greet virtually. Some teams I know they'll send out little coupons for Uber Eats or something like that where they can just kind of connect. If you can do some offsites, get everyone together at least once a year to see each other face to face. I know budgets can be challenging with that, but the research shows that the return on investment that comes from the trust that those things build is very significant, which also brings us into kind of team building activities can really help with this. But try to have your meetings as often as possible with faces involved. So whether that's Teams, WebEx, or Zoom, something like that, see each other. And when you can, when you don't have the big mess behind you, turning off the virtual backgrounds also does something to kind of show some trust in there. And when you are the participant on those meetings, making sure that you are there with them the same way that you would kind of be in the room if you were in a meeting there. So what I mean by this is, if you were in a boardroom and you're the type of person that would put your feet up and start texting because you're bored, then that's probably who you're going to be on Zoom. But what the research shows is we tend to be more likely to be multitasking and doing stuff when we're at our home office, when we're zooming in or using the Teams meets, and that actually shows a disconnect. It actually comes through the rest of our affect, the way that we're engaged in our vocalization, the way we take notes. So try to be present on those meetings, show your face, don't be afraid to invite playfulness in, have some music, put some filters on, do things that show your personalities when you're having these meetings, maybe not every meeting, but work it in there so you're seeing personality. Because otherwise, this is part of what builds towards the employee turnaround that we're seeing increasing as we're going more and more into a remote world. And a big part of that is the lack of trust, which leads to a lack of psychological safety, which has people really question the work environments that they're working in. So play around with what you could do with some of those synchronous meetings, getting the faces on there, having fun with them, throwing some virtual parties and stuff like that, and you will see the return on investment. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.